Now, Darren, one of the forms that we see all the time is a Form 24. Now, this comes in after an employee starts their claim, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about what it is and its effect?
Well, a Form 24 is one of the Industrial Commission forms that gets our attention very quickly, and that's because it is something that the insurance company, either through the adjuster or through their attorney, their defense counsel, that's a form that's filed against the employee. And it essentially says that, listen, the weekly compensation check that employee is receiving during his treatment phase, that we're trying to either terminate or suspend that weekly check, and we have a reason that we're trying to do that. And the reason they most commonly mention is that the employee, the injured employee, is not complying with the medical treatment. And so the example I like to give to clients or potential clients is, if you're treating and you're receiving that treatment because you're injured on the job, it's not optional. If a doctor tells you you need to go to physical therapy and they schedule perhaps a regimen of 10 appointments for you and you only show up for 3 of those, you're not complying with the treatment. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that you have to go to each and every appointment. You can have a valid excuse. You may be late to an appointment, you may get sick, you may have to miss an occasional appointment. But if you don't listen to your physicians and the insurance company is back here paying the bills, they're going to do something about it. So I like to warn my clients, take your treatment seriously, try to be pretty conscientious about going to your appointments, and don't give the insurance company in the background any ammunition to use against you.
Okay, now hypothetically, one of your clients receives this Form 24. Is there a way to fight it? Is there a way to combat it? What do you do next?
Typically, the Form 24 is sent to the attorney for the injured employee, and we receive that. Obviously, I'm going to call my client right away. I'm going to forward the form. I'm going to discuss with them the reason that was given on the form itself for the motion to terminate or suspend. And then I'm going to ask my client, how do we respond to this? We need to respond to it. You need to tell me how I'm going to explain to the insurance company and to the Industrial Commission that you have been complying. And so I'm going to look at your medical bills, I'm going to look at your medical records, I'm going to look at your schedule, and I'm going to try to provide documentation that shows that indeed you may have missed the occasional appointment, but for the most part, you're going to your appointments, you're listening to your physician, and you're following up with the treatment that's been recommended.
Okay, is this just something that you email the insurance company or the opposing counsel, or do you go in front of a court, or what's sort of the process there?
It's somewhat of a hybrid, and I explain to people that in this day and age, a lot of the forms that we deal with the Industrial Commission are filed electronically. In fact, the majority of those forms are filed with Raleigh electronically. Mm-hmm. Saves a lot of paper, saves a lot of time.
And you do this on behalf of all your clients?
We do that on behalf of each employee that we represent.
Right.
And so we're getting their input, but we're filing the forms for them. And then what we're doing is we're scheduling a telephone hearing with the North Carolina Industrial Commission. And so that telephone hearing is obviously much more convenient than driving to Raleigh, like we used to do back in the day. It's a lot more convenient than driving even to the county courthouse. We're doing everything by phone and perhaps even by Zoom or WebEx. Mm-hmm. So it's very efficient, but it's the same process.
Right. Okay, so it's in front of a neutral party, right? There's a decision maker there to it, right?
Very good point. The decision maker in that scenario, especially with the Form 24, would be one of the deputy commissioners that works for the Industrial Commission.
Okay, and they're like a judge.
They're like a judge. They are the decision maker. They're going to hear the evidence. They're going to consider all the documents presented as evidence. And at the end of the day, they're going to weigh the evidence and they're going to render a decision.
Okay.
So, well, Sal, thank you for being here today. I certainly appreciate your time, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this was valuable. I hope there was some good information. If you have further questions, please do not hesitate. Give us a call.